Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This is a video that'll mainly show some acquisitions. One clothing item and the others are knitted related items. I also have two decks that I wanted to show. One that I use regularly, and the other deck is a deck that I bought in Massachusetts a couple of years ago when I was in the area, and I recently connected with the deck, which is so exciting because I've had the deck for so long, but I've never used it. So I will show that at the end of the video. The first item is this corset. It's from Celtic Fusion in Etsy shop. I love Regina Tierney's clothing pieces. I have a couple of them that I've gotten over the years. One of my favorite items that I purchased that I also consider one of my favorite clothing pieces that I own is this plaid skirt, because it fits so well and it's well made. It's also a nice quality material that she uses. So with this one and other tops that I've gotten, I usually go a size up, and sometimes maybe 2 sizes up, because one of the main materials that she uses is flax, and it's not the stretchiest, so I feel that it may be harder to put the clothing on and to take it off because of the clothing material, but it's also lovely because when I wear the clothing, it's fitting to my body and it's flattering. So I love getting her clothing. And this is the tag that it comes with. So I can read it. It says, Celtic Fusion, pagan designs inspired by the Celtic spirit of the west of Ireland, by artist Regina Tierney. The collection is handmade using wool, plant fibers, and hand-carved details, handled with love and care. And the other side, Celtic Fusion, Irish design, handmade with love. So even the tag is nice too. It's a nice paper, and it feels like it may be I want to say it may be recycled, but in a good way, because you also get this paper too with it, and it says tree certificate with your name on it. This is to certify that sponsored by your order will be planted one native tree in Ireland for native forest regeneration. To date, Celtic Fusion have donated 16,179 trees. and the pamphlet, which talks about her hand fasting dresses or her gowns that you can use for various ceremonies. I got a couple of needles. I know I have 2 sets of the Knitter's Pride. One set I don't open, so I have my main set, and then I get extra needles for the one that I carry, the case that I carry around. And the sizes that I got are 2 size 4s because the set that I use, it comes with a variety of needles, but it doesn't come with size 4. So I got 2 of them for maybe if I need them for different projects, or if I need to use them for sleeves or projects that I'll need the needles for, all the needles for. I got an extra 6, and 6 is one of my main needles, as well as the size 3. So these are the shorties, and I prefer the shorties over the regular size that Knitter's Pride also has. So this is the standard size that comes in the blue case, and these are interchangeable tips, and this is the shorty ones. I'm actually going to take out the longer ones and put it in another case because I don't use them. I wanted to try them out. And the one that I was showing, the size 6, you can see it has a lot of wear on it because I use it so much. But the needles still work, so you could see that I'm wearing out at least the writing on it, but I do have things that I could use to tell me what needle size I'm using. And this is the case that I carry around. I have a blue one that's slightly different. But the main reason why I got other things from the shop is because I got another cord because I am giving away my Licca needles, which is an amazing driftwood set. I just use the Knitter's Pride mainly, so I am happy that it'll be used. So I got one 20-inch cord. I'll get another one at some point. And then the other cords I have for the set because I use them because I took them out, and I can put the other sizes back in. But some of the cords that I got from there, they're helpful for me. Then there was another sale going on, and the reason why I got this yarn is because I crossed paths with it. I have a project that I'm currently using one of the yarn. It's a different type of yarn from this yarn company, but the yarn company is Universal Yarn, and I'm using their DK tweed, and I love it so much. It's coming together so nicely, and it's a joy to work with because the yarn is so bouncy and it's soft. And I do like using different types of yarns with different textures and feelings to them. So this is a change up from maybe the more rustic yarn that I use. But one of the main online stores that I get yarn from is yarn.com, and it's a store located in Massachusetts. You can also go in person to pick up your items and to shop there. I saw that they were having a sale on the Universal yarn. It wasn't the tweed, the DK tweed, but they were having a closeout sale. So originally it dropped down from like a 11 and some change to $6.49, and then they put an additional percentage off, so it dropped down even more to $5.25, and it was for a couple of days, and they were 100 gram balls. So I was thinking that's a really nice deal because it's also 100% superwash wool. So the colors that I got are, I just got 3 because I didn't feel like I needed to get too much yarn because I have a good amount. I wanted to get more yarn for my DK stash because I have a good amount for my medium worsted stash, but I've been using DK recently for the last couple of projects, so I see it dwindling because you use a couple of skeins for the garments. And so I have plans. The first 2, I have a spiced heather in another brand. It's a local wool yarn, and it's definitely on the rustic side, and I love it. I have project in mind for that one too. But for these I got the Deluxe DK Superwash in Adobe or 7852. So I love these colors, and it looks closer to this one on camera or video. I wanted to make a vest because I have a project that I have already in the designs that I purchased. It is a Ukrainian designer, and it's Tetis, and I love the color work that's on the vest. It has more symbolism, it looks like, and the colors that are used for a lot of her designs are more on like the warmer side, and some of the I would say the red is more of a garnet, and I feel like I've seen these colors in these Eastern European clothing pieces, so I really love the combination. So I wanted to use these. I got two because I only needed two of the main color and one of the contrast color, which I will put more like a garnet or a deeper, richer red, and I think that would be such a nice accent to the clothing item. I also wanted to read more on the construction of it because I really wanted to design a vest, and I have it in mind because I like to make cable patterns for different things. I like making it for my pouches or my bags because I like it to twist at a specific point, and I just want it the way that I like to have my cables. So it'll definitely be more on the I want it to be like a tweedy green, and I'm so excited to design that. And I'm excited to make the vest too in these colors, or in this color, and then eventually once I see the shade that I'm looking for, I'll pick that one up too. The other one, something I guess in my mind I was getting to get a contrast color because I have mainly sweater or cardigan quantities of the yarn, and I don't like breaking the quantities up because I like knowing that I have it for these projects that require larger amounts of yarn. So I got this one contrast color. It looks a little different than it did on the website, but that's okay because I'll definitely use it. It's the Deluxe DK Superwash in the colorway Burrow, or 7626. The color is 831, and then the color number for this one is 825. So online it was more of a, it looked more like looked like a stark green again in a good way. And when I got it, it looked a little more gray, which is fine too, but it looks like it may have like green undertones to it because I had an idea to put it in one of these designs that I wanted to gift knit. I may still use this color, but I'll definitely use it in some project. The pattern that I had in mind to gift knit is from this Icelandic Knits book, and it was the main pattern that I wanted from this book, but I told myself, if you're gonna get this book, you have to like more than one pattern, and I love color work, and especially the European styles, and so I figured that I would picked this book up because what's nice about a lot of these knitting books is that when you search them, oh, sorry, I don't know how far my laptop went down. When you search these books, they are, they usually have the different designs that are in there. So it's so helpful to see it to make sure that you'll use it. And this design is worn right now by this child. And it's the floaty or fleet. So the floaty sweater is inspired by Viking longships bearing snakes on their prows to ward off any evil spirits encountered in their journeys. As they appear on the horizon, the sun also glints on the rows of gilded shields. The sweater is knitted from the top down without seams. So that's fun to have it like a top down pattern. But as soon as I saw this, I immediately knew that I wanted to knit it. And they have, what's also nice about this book is that they have the children's sizes and the adult sizes. And there are also different knitwear designers here too. The little bud Nupunen is a Finn sheep wool which has a softness that lends itself back to children's clothes. The front and back of the sweater are identical, which makes it easier for a child to put on. There's no wrong way around, but if you wish, you can shape the back using short rows. The sweater is knitted from the top down so that by frogging the ribbing and knitting more length into the sleeves in the front, you allow the young wearer to use it for longer as they grow, which is so fun. I love when you could do that to your garments. So I'm happy with this book. And I do like knitting with books or with the pattern printed out because I like carrying it around and not having to constantly look online for or reference my phone for the pattern, which is, I mean, it is good for not wasting paper, but I also love how like I have a selection of things that I can knit with from these books. And even on Ravelry I do, or other places where I get the patterns, maybe directly from the designer, or maybe Etsy, where I can print out the pattern too. I notice that I also knit a lot of the free patterns too that are on Ravelry, which I really like because I have a lot of my finished objects on my Ravelry page where it shows like a picture. I mainly show what I knit with the colors, the yarn colorways on there. I don't put too much detail into it, but you can see my interpretation in terms of color scheme for these designs, and it may inspire some new ideas. So I was thinking maybe to knit and chat and or crochet and chat, because I do have one crochet project. But I will show the decks before that because I want to make sure I get to them. The first one is one that has been shown on this channel, and it's the Scorpio Sea Tarot. I love this deck. It was a gift, and the creator also came out with the Raven's Prophecy. A lot of times when I get decks from different creators, I usually gravitate to their one of the decks, and then that'll either be my main deck if I don't have any more decks from them, or it might be the only deck that I have from them. So the Scorpio Sea Tarot is based off of a book, and I haven't read the book, but I don't mind, because for some decks that are themed, I have either read the book or watched the movies, and it has changed the way that I interpret the cards. So I enjoy the way that I interpret the cards right now. Sometimes it shifts it completely, because there was this one deck that I read a specific way, and then I decided to go more into the series, and then I felt that it wasn't as clean of a read because there was other things that I was considering when I was reading the cards. So I didn't really go much into the series for a couple of reasons, but it went back to me reading it the way that I usually do, which is nice, and I'm open to expand and get different interpretations and to retrieve them. I like to hear about different meanings of cards, and that's why I like to see different decks to see how the creator interpreted this card. And it's mindful, because when you do your own readings, sometimes those meanings that you've listened to from other readers, they come to mind. Oh. And I like how it is a little more minimal, but then it's one that you could get a jump start from seeing the symbol that sticks out to you, and you can expand from there, and that's why I love these types of decks. Into the Knight of Wands. With this one, I'm getting that something's a little flighty. Maybe, because at the bottom of the deck, it's the Five of Swords. Not knowing how to react or to respond to a situation. So that could be also interpreted from another person as a lack of compassion, or to where there's misunderstandings, and from that you may react in a way that's inappropriate or that takes it too far. A lot of times with the Five of Swords, it can be an energy where you're out for yourself, and it's important to maybe step back and to really think about the situation, of course, before acting on it, as a parent may say it to their child, but it does seem like more of adolescence or an experience. So it's something to consider. Lesson of the day. And so I'm on the side of my bed, but I like filming from different parts of my bed because I don't have a ceiling light. So I have two lamps right now. I have ceiling lights that are on the other side of the apartment. But since I think with the design choice, since this area is next to the window, it they decided not to put the ceiling light in this area. So fun little tidbit there. And the other deck is the Avalonian Oracle. So when I lived in New England, I purchased this deck in a shop in Massachusetts, and I also got the Animal Wise Tarot there. It was the specific store copy that I wanted. That it was the only copy of the, I would say, second edition of the Animal Wise Tarot that I actually connected with, and then I changed the backing of the deck. And so my deck is like a brick because I made like a major modification for it. But I love it, and it's one of my decks that I use regularly too. Mainly for if I were to do like a daily draw, which I say daily, I pick out a card from a deck that I feel that I want to pick a card from. So with the Avalonian Oracle, it was just so watery, and I'm at an angle now because my back is actually against the bed frame, so let me just. So I do connect a lot with watery decks. I am a Libra, but most of my chart is in Scorpio. And I guess that would be one of the things that I connect it with. You can see the back, it has a chalice well. And the book is so instructive, and it has, I wouldn't say the meanings are necessarily, not that they're not rich, but the meanings of the cards, they're informative. So if they have an archetype on the card, the book goes into the archetype, and then it transitions into the meaning or the symbolism behind the archetype, or what is in the card that goes with it, or what the person or deity represents for the card and the person on the card. It tends to have a darker theme for the deck, which it kind of reminds me of one thing so the English Magic Tarot is another regular deck. I might do a video on that one too, or some decks that I like to use that I feel that I connect with in a way where when I pull these cards out and I do a reading with them, it feels natural to me. That it just, as I say a lot, it tells a story, and the readings, they have an effortless flow to them, to where I can keep going and it doesn't feel like there's something obstructive or something that is not coming as, again, effortlessly, because I feel that when a person wants a reading, they want you to, you know, they want you to know what you're doing, or appear to appear to know what you're doing, if that makes sense. And it's those types of decks that I feel like that you keep around, and it's those types of decks that are the ones that you choose from when you're in those situations too. And when you're reading for yourself, it's also nice. So that's another reason why it's good to curate your collection of different decks, because over the years I'll show more. Over the years you get these decks, and some of them you like more than others for various reasons. So for me, I don't think there's a use in my situations. I don't think that there's uses to have a lot of these decks to where I'm not using them. So I continuously move them along. And I've said this before, but when you're in different phases of life and you tend to, or different areas, at least for me, because I tend to move a lot, some decks that you've used so much go back on the shelf for another time. And then these other decks that you've rarely used are the ones that you connect with and that you're teaching and learning from. So I'm going to give an example of this, and sorry for what I was saying, how it reminded me of the English Magic Tarot. There was this one it was the dedication page, I believe, of the book, and it was saying, dedicated to the followers of, or those who follow the English magic, or those who are brave enough to follow the practice, or the deities that are within that realm of, or scope of practice. So I thought that was interesting. I'll pull out a card. I don't know what it's a little strange. Some of them are flipped the wrong way. I do like the cardstock on this too. Oh, and the card that I got is Station of Resolution, and there's also different categories of cards in here too. So there is quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this part of the book, And maybe I'll do a knit, sit and knit, or maybe a sit and crochet in another video. But for the station of resolution, the pregnant belly of Mondron's Mound, so that would be the landscape, reclaimed of the Chalice Hill in Glastonbury, basks in the vitalistic fullness of the sun's fertilizing energies, surrounded by a hedge grove which marks a sacred path rather than creating a protected boundary. A passage opens rather than creating the which marks a sacred space rather than creating a protected boundary. A passage reveals a hawthorn tree laden with the red berries known for their powerful cardiac medicines. In the foreground, a golden field of ripened wheat awaits. The sacrificial sickles transforms the growing season into the bounty of this harvest. And the key words: revelation, full fruit, victory, accomplishment, first harvest, abundance, passion, will. The quest is the station of resolution is the highest point of the Avalonian cycle of healing. In the cycle of the sun, resolution is aligned with the festival of Gwilist, Lugnasad, Lugnhasadh, and it corresponds with the full moon in the cycle of the moon. For the ancient Celts, this holy festival marked the first fruits of the harvest and was a time of celebration and feasting. It is a time of thanksgiving and bounty of the earth for the performance of sacrifices to ensure the continued bounty for the rest of the year. The crops were welcomed, and large communal meals were of great ritual importance. Clans gathered to compete in games, enter into marriages, and reaffirm contracts and bonds with each other before returning to the several months of hard work and to come into the last fruits were harvested. And Cullen gave Samhain came around once more. Likewise for us, things that we have set into the motion come to fruition at this time of physical and spiritual abundance. The moon, like our soul, shines bright in its fullness without a hint of shadow, obscuring the truth of who and what we are, illuminating all it touches. The orchards of the spirit hang heavy with ripened fruit, the sovereign culmination of all of our work and striving as we walk the path of self-actualization. Rejoice in all that you have accomplished, taking time to honor growth that you have achieved. There's always farther to go on the journey to wholeness, to be sure. And while it is important to look at those parts of our soul's garden that did not bear the harvest that you expected, or that still stand fallow and empty, do not permit this to detract you from the fruit that you have grown and the healing you have achieved. We stand to great lessons by understanding what strategies worked and which failed. Remember that them both, for when cycle turns once more, new challenges and opportunities present themselves to you. But for now, celebrate. And it's almost finished. The divinatory meaning: the fruits of our labors reveal themselves. A cycle ends and a project nears completion. All of your hard work has led to this moment. Savor the victory at hand. Celebrate yourself and your accomplishments. Take time to appreciate the bounty that surrounds you instead of focusing on the areas of lack. Harness the creative fire that flows through you to bring things into manifestation. Listen to the calling of the heart and see things for what they truly are instead of what you hoped or feared them to be. The truth of the situation is unveiled, and there is power and healing in the revelation. Carry the fire of transformation within your spirit, directing and according to your will, so that you may manifest all that lies within your sovereign potential. Spread the energies of your attainments outwards. Share your harvest to others, and think about the ways you can contribute to your family of blood and of choice. Then participate in community. Affirmation. I am filled with gratitude for all that I have accomplished and all that I have become. I celebrate myself and the gifts that I have received, as well as the gifts that I have to share with others in the world. My heart is filled with rapturous joy and luminous love of the divine. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.